Welcome everybody to the Gigabyte Invitational right now, and we have our first round of 8 game. Once again, €1,000 split among the first 3 players of the tournament, and 2 of them are these 2 guys here. We have as a Protoss player to the bottom left of the map in blue, Mana. He's using the account Snowbird here on the Korean server. And he's actually only staying here for another 2 days before he goes to the WCS Europe Finals. He will of course come back to Korea, but at the weekend he will be in Europe again. He's up against the Zerg player. Starting to the top right on Cloud Kingdom, map number 1 in this best of 5, we have the Slayers player. He's called SlayersDark and is one of the proteges of Seller, one of the young talents in the Slayers team, and apparently he's supposed to have a really bright future ahead of him. So a lot of the Slayers players think that he is really strong, a little bit unexperienced right now and not quite there yet, but shows a lot of promise and is apparently like really eager to learn the traits of a pro gamer and currently training quite heavily. But as already mentioned, maybe not there just yet. We might find out today if he's already up to win one of those online tournaments. So of course always a little bit easier to prevail in an online tournament than it is to actually play in the GSL or in any other tournament that is held offline. Right now he's going for the standard build, of course. We have him with a pool at 14, at 15 actually, and then he will start with his expansion. But on the other hand, we have now Mana starting to the bottom left. And as already mentioned, he's on, or he will be on his way to the WCS Europe Finals really soon, where he has to face the Muslim in the first round. And if he actually is able to go all the way through the grid, there's a good chance that he's going to meet a fellow Polish player in the final of his bracket tree, because Nurture is on the lower part of the bracket. Mana decides to go for Nexus first here, by the way. So we have him with a pylon at the front, and one of the things that Mana has been struggling with quite a bit against Zerg is of course the run bias of Zerg players. He always seems to leave a little bit of a gap in the wall, but these days he's playing a lot better, a lot safer when it comes down to his map awareness and to him realizing what's happening. He's been laddering in Korea quite a lot. In Code S he was not all that successful. He was in one group with the best, or some of the best Terran players that we actually have in Korea. He had to face Tasia, MVP and MMA, and was not able to make it out of the Code S group. But he was able to secure himself a spot in Code S in the first place, which is already quite the achievement, especially given that he was up against a couple of really strong players in his up and down matches. So really something to be proud of. And I have to say that Mana's spirit when he plays the game is something that is really unique. He is always giving his all, he's giving his best, and it's just incredible to see this guy coming out of the booth after a loss and just talking about his mistakes and talking about what he could have done better. So a really good mindset, and that will probably get him really far. I'm a huge fan of him, I won't lie about that. And I think that he can really do well in the future. He's exactly what you need to be as a pro gamer. Really very professional and very focused on how to improve. Currently the Cybernetics core on the high ground, which is also pretty cute, makes sure that later on the Zerg player is not able to snipe it with just a few units if he goes in there with some roaches. Even the block here with the probe, just to make sure that there's no Zergling run by. He was, as already mentioned before, facing a lot of run bys the last few days and is now just trying to adapt. The third base for Dark coming up on the other end of the map though. And Dark is already placing a couple of overlords in very important positions, trying to scout of course the double gas here, wants to know how much gas exactly the Protoss player is mining. One thing that he needs to know as well is there +1 attack upgrade? And indeed there is. Mana currently researching it at the forge, and this already signals to Dark that he will have to face some kind of gateway attack. It could be followed up with, of course, a robotics and immortals. We could see a little bit of a delayed Stargate, which is a little bit unlikely in this particular situation. But right now, Dark doing a good job. He has Zerglings at the Zalnaga Watchtower. He has these overlords in position as well. He knows that there is currently no probe on the map. So at this point, everything that comes out of this wall will be spotted by Dark. And here's already the Zealot for Mana, trying to clear the Zalnaga Watchtower and chase those Zerglings away, to make sure that he has the vision of the turret and that he can now be safely just start with this, just safely start with this tag, make sure that he has good vision, knows what's coming his way, if there's some kind of all-in. And right now we still have the robotics for Mana. On the other hand, we have a bit of the normal Roach Warren here for his opponent. Double gas by now for Dark, no tech. and he will probably start his tech to high. No, well, to hive. He probably wishes he could do that, but to layer pretty soon. And already one evolution chamber, not the double evolution chamber that we see quite often in the matchup against Terran, but here against the Protoss player, only one evolution chamber and one roach, one pretty standard at this point, getting speed, having the queens. Nice creep spread as well by Dark, making sure that he connects all the bases, which is really important, especially on a map like Cloud Kingdom where you can face Stargate play, and you want to have the option of just running all your units straight to the third base, especially the queens, and helping out against, for example, Void Rays. Right now, he needs to be a little bit careful because those Zerglings will pose a bit of a problem, and the wall is not open, but he might lose the Zealot. Is able to secure himself. The Zealot just runs in here, and now, of course, the +1 attack upgrade has already been spotted as well, and Mana goes straight for the Immortals. Might just go for an Immortal push here, but he could also try to just poke a little bit and fall back into a third quite soon. The lair tech, of course, for Dark is now already underway. We talked about it a little bit earlier. And for Dark, he is building a lot of Zerglings here, by the way. A lot of Zerglings. That's not really... How many does he already have? He's already 19 and he builds another 15, so that's a lot of speedlings that he has on the map right now. Has a good map control because of it. And Mana knows it. He knows about the links. He has already his observer in his opponent's main base and is getting quite a few information. For him, it's obviously really important to know about what exactly Dark is doing, and that the Zerg player is moving out is really the most important part of it. So at this point, he needs to be very careful. He's trying to set off a second wall. Very well done by Mana. And trying to go for this third base, as already mentioned earlier. But right now we have this composition with links into Infestor. And Infestor are, of course, one of the nightmares of Protoss players these days. Something that you need to counter with a lot of... You need, for example, some, well, Colossus, High Templars, Archon, just to deal with the infested Terrans, and of course to get in range of the infestors themselves so that you can take them down and make sure that these exchanges that the Zerg player is trying to force upon you go in your favor. And Dark already reacting with a fourth base. Really straight up play by the Slayers player, and so far he's doing a great job. He has 6 gas by now. A lot of harvesters, as you can see. 69 to 57 is not slacking off at all. We even have him with a double macro hatch here. One at the natural and one in the main base, so lava won't be an issue for Dark later on. The speed upgrade for the roaches has been completed, and thanks to his double evolution chamber, he's also boosting like 2 upgrades at a time. But this is definitely a pretty cool situation for Dark at this point. Mana is now completing his own robotic spay, and therefore the tech that we talked about earlier into Colossi, range is of course going to be upgraded too. But at this point in time, the upgrade for Blink is a little bit more important for Mana. He started it earlier, he has now the range, and he's able to secure himself a third base without a lot of fuss. Dark is happy to just lay back here, just take it easy, and fall back into his macro mode. But Mana really needs to make sure that he's ready for his opponent's attack. But he has a cute wall here, has already the detection on the map, on the ramp as well. We have this one observer at the front, at the fourth. So pretty decent by Mana so far. Both players just taking it a little bit easier here, just gearing up for the late game, and even now the Spire coming up for Dark. Will probably also start a transition into Hive fairly soon. At this point, of course, the Spire is more designed to get Corruptors later on, that he can deal with the Colossi. Mutalisks are highly unlikely at this point in the game. And now also spreading creep even more, especially against Protoss. That's something that we don't see all that often by Zerg players. Zergs tend to spread creep like crazy against Terran, but against Protoss they oftentimes slack off a little bit, and this is something that Dark is definitely not doing, while Mana is currently getting a Stargate, already preparing this transition for the Mothership. He knows that later on he really needs it, and he needs of course also the Templar Archive. But at this point, going for the double Robo, double Colossi, but the Mothership is already something that he's aiming for if it comes to the late game, something that he will most likely not be able to avoid at all if you just look at how the game progressed so far. The Hive Tech going down at roughly 13 minutes for his opponent, and now even the fourth base for Mana. This looks a little bit like a game on Toon Valley, to be honest with you. Both players taking a lot of bases, especially the Protoss is allowed to take a third base here. Not a lot of pressure by Dark, and the 4th base is also something that Mana should be able to secure here, whereas Dark is absolutely happy of just laying low for now. Will most likely get himself a 5th base now that he scouted the 4th of his opponent, but with everything that he's building, the Corruptors, the Spine Crawlers, and the Hive Tech, it's just signaling to Mana and of course to us that Dark in this position is quite happy. He wants to go for the Brood Lords, and he might start a bit of an attack trying to exchange Infestor energy for actual money, minerals, and gas. But right now he's really happy to just wait for the late game. And this is something that Mana is preparing for. We talked about it briefly, but he's already done with the Stargate. We currently see, of course, also his transition into the Fleet Beacon. And these run-bys won't be able to do too much. There are cannons, there are also the Colossi, pretty good positioning. And I'm actually a little bit baffled that right now Dark does not get a 5th base. He should really get one. And Mana assumes there is a 5th. He sends Zealots over to the top left. So when he discovers that he's... Oh wow, here comes the attack by Dark. Hold that thought, guys. Dark is moving in. He's going for the Infestor attack, as already mentioned, trying to snipe this 4th base. And he will most likely be able to succeed. Dashes in with his Corruptors, takes down the Colossus, and this was actually really well executed by Dark. Mission accomplished, takes down the 4th base of Mana. Not a lot that the Protoss player can do here. Really, really well done. Nice force fields to shield the rest of his units, making sure that they are not dying to these Infested Terrans, but now they have to fight the Roaches, and Mana needs the rest of his army. He's on 2 attack upgrades, 1 armor, chasing down these Roaches. The Zerglings not committing just yet, and the Slayers Zerg player is now getting the 5th base, as we already mentioned earlier. But, well, right now Mana only on 3, which is still decent for a Protoss player. Oh, and these Infestors, killing them was, of course, really well done. Nice catch there by Mana. And at the same time, the Mothership is already, well, nearly completed. Uh-oh, needs a blink here. Blinks away, and still Corruptors on the chase, trying to hunt down this Colossi. The Colossus is definitely gonna die, but a lot of those Corruptors bite the dust as well. Mana with a few Stalkers blinking forward, taking down Corruptors, and now chasing these Roaches down. Whereas the Zerg player is taking another base number 6 to the top left of the map. Boom, there it is. And of course his Greater Spire is already nearly done, nearly completed. There we have it. And this is just getting a little bit dangerous for Mana indeed here. 82 Harvester supply and a really good macro game so far from his opponent. A lot of Spine Crawlers to secure his bases, and now the Brood Lords without being pressured once by Mana at all. So definitely a really good position for the Zerg player to be in right now. He's completely maxed out. Mana has a lot of minerals though, but he's lacking a little bit in gas. Just checking his assimilators because I want to make sure that he didn't forget any probes in and then no, not so far. But Protoss is of course a really gas heavy race. That's what's working against him right now. And here we have, yeah, this has to be cancelled. There's the cancel, those Zealots able to force the cancel at the 6th base. And at the same time, Mana completed the +3 attack upgrade. Is now even getting shields while getting the +2 armor. And of course Storm. Something that Mana is known for in his matchup against Terran. But also pretty good at when it comes down against Zerg. So that's something that he can use. As well as the Fundals later on. And here we go. Mothership and Archons. The weapon of choice for a Protoss player these days. He wants to make sure that he has a good chance here. While the Zealots are now running in and trying to snipe this base. Actually has a really good shot at taking it down, but there's so many Zerglings by now, and the Queen can even transfuse, so no chance of really killing the hatch, not with Dark reacting just in time. And Mana is getting more upgrades. He's getting more and more upgrades, and he's looking pretty decent here. We have now already for the Zerg player, how many Infestors does he actually have? That's like 8, yeah. 8, 9 Infestors, 9 Brood Lords. And he's getting, wow, so important, the upgrade for Neural Parasite. So this is definitely something where Mana has to be well, he has to be really cautious. Gas is a problem, that's why he's getting all these additional assimilators right now. But nice multitasking here by both of them. Zealots being sent out to the left, immediately caught by Dark, taking them down, and now Mana finds himself in an awkward position. He has links to his left ready for a run by, and he is the main part of the Zerg's army to the right, to the top right actually, just gearing up for war. But the upgrades are definitely better for Mana, with 1 shield, 2 armor, and of course the +3 attack. He has a pretty good spot here. And this Warp Prism is getting really a nuisance for Dark. Once again, he has to face a lot of Zealots to take down the 6th base. Yes, those Zerglings will dash in, but at the same time, they won't trade all too cost efficiently against those Zealots. So really well done by Mana once more. Gas is really something that he's lacking though. He needs more gas. He desperately needs additional gas to get rid of all his minerals as well. And he's getting Archons right now. This is of course a really gas heavy composition that he's playing right now. 5 Archons, we have High Templars, Mothership, Sentry still, and of course those 3 Colossi. And Mana is now just ready to move out. He's moving out 4,000 minerals, and there they are. Boom, Fungals. And of course at the same time the feedback's doing a great job. Here comes the first Vortex. He has another one available, but tries to go through with all that he has right now. Needs to be careful against the Corruptors, and at the same time, of course, nice, another Vortex hits those Broodlords immediately. But Mana dropped in supply heavily. He attacked into the Spine Crawlers, and he paid dearly for it. Even the Mothership is gone now. He needs to rebuild it. That's exactly what he does. But he's down at 140 supply, and at the resources lost, he's now at roughly 17,000 against 15,000. Mana trading kind of okay, but at the same time his economy is just not good enough. But this is brilliant. In the main base, the Warp Prism once again used to warp in another round of Zealots, and maybe he'll be able to take down the Greater Spire. That's of course exactly what he's aiming for here. But he needs to target a little bit better. He can take it down, but he doesn't target down properly. Now, is it gonna die? It should actually, but not all of these Zealots are actually attacking. It doesn't matter though. It dies. Mission accomplished for Mana. Is able to delay the attack of his opponent by quite a bit. Even those Brood Lords in the main were not able to prevent the Spire from being killed. And now we have Dark building another one immediately. Mana, on the other hand, he's trying to play to his strengths now. He's going straight for his double Warp Prism. He wants to make sure that he can still pressure his opponent. And to the top right, there's one observer that doesn't really fulfill a purpose at all right now. But at the bottom, Zerglings ready for the run by, trying to snipe this Nexus, and yes, they're definitely gonna succeed. He needs to cancel. Oh wow. Mistake by Mana, he's pressured here, and he doesn't realize that the Nexus is under attack, doesn't cancel it, but loses it. The Mothership is not ready, and even if he pops out, he doesn't have the energy for a Vortex just yet. The anti that Mana currently has consists of 4 Archons, 14 Stalkers, and a couple of High Templars. This base is doomed, and this is the first nail in the coffin of Mana, being pressured back by the Zerg player. In this situation, with him running out of gas already, is of course something that he can't really afford. Yes, the Greater Spire is gone, but there are so many Broodlords. Just look at it. We have 19 Broodlords. Those Storms are great, but are they enough? I highly doubt it. He needs a lot more if he wants to take down this army. Here comes the Mothership, but way too many Overseers already. Mana is dropping in supply, so is Dark, but he remaxed immediately with 12 Corruptors and is now once again moving in. So many Broodlords, way too many for him to handle. Or can Mana really turn things around here? He blinks in with the Stalks, but he just doesn't have enough. He takes down another Broodlord, is able to kill at least a few of them. Dark dropping in supply, so is Mana. Just look at the supply here, 130 against 98, and both of them are lacking the resources right now. But Dark is just harvesting a lot more than Mana is currently, and even with this army that the Protoss player is currently commanding, he might be able to hold to defend, but will he really be ready to attack with or to face the second wave that Dark is already preparing? That's the really difficult thing for him to pull off right now, especially since he can't really counterattack with all these Spore Crawlers in position at basically every base for the Zerg player. It's hard to take the advantage of one fight and move in, and right now he knows of course what's happening here, knows that he's lost this game, so game number 1 ends in favor of SlayersDark, the protege of Zella, able to win the first map, and we are heading into the second game of the best of 5. Enjoy.